Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Newington Town Council regular meeting of Tuesday, September 22nd. We are a little bit late calling to order. It is 7:08. We did have an executive, a special meeting prior to this, which is why we're a little bit late joining. So I apologize for that. The first item on our agenda this evening is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would please rise and join me in the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to
allegiance
the
to the
flag
flag of the
United States of America,
and
and to the republic which
stands
one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you, everyone. Next item is roll call. Susan, if you're with us, could you do that for us, please?
Yes, Counselor Anist,
Here.
Counselor Braverman,
Here.
Counselor Budraco,
Here.
Counselor Camillo,
Here.
Counselor Donahue,
Here.
Counselor Menke,
Here.
Counselor Minor,
Here.
Counselor Nagel,
Here.
Mayor Del Buono.
Here.
9-0. Oh, you're all here.
Thank you, Susan. The next item on our agenda is approval of our agenda. I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda, or I believe there may be a change coming.
Yeah, I'd like to make an addition to the agenda, if I may.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Under item 7, I'd like to add E, 8-24 referral to the town planning and zoning for 690 Cedar Street.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Anist. Any discussion, counselors? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Sorry, Counselor Anist,
If I may, this would also require a waiver request.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Anist,
Here, yes.
sorry, am I supposed to do roll call?
Yes, please.
Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Here, yes.
hello,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes.
9-0.
Okay, so our agenda has an extra item on it. Thank you. Next item is public participation. In general, any member of the public may reach us through if you're in the Zoom application in the meeting, you can raise your hand in the participants window. If you are calling in through the Zoom app that way, you can raise your hand by doing *9 on your phone. So any member of the public that would like to participate, I see Phil Knowlton. Let me just get you in there, Phil.
Hi, this is Phil Knowlton. Can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Oh, hi. Thank you for your time. I'll try to be brief. I participate in the Mill Pond
Name and
improvement.
address, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. My name is Phil Knowlton. I live on 44 Cinnamon Road in Newington, Connecticut. And I participate in the Mill Pond improvement committee. And I know there's some items up for discussion tonight, and I just wanted to throw my vote behind the improvement and development of the Mill Pond Park. In particular, looking to try to move forward on funding about $57,000 to help TLB Architecture put together boundary survey, complete their master plan, and start working on some core samples. And I know that's the logistics, but really what we're talking about is moving the pool over towards Garfield Street so that we can kind of get a little bit more safety and security because it'll be closer to the police department. It's going to be ease of use also for folks and campers over from the community center, being able to walk across Garfield and be able to use the pool right there itself. It also opens up the focal point of the park, which is the pond itself. And I think right now, if you're standing where the pool is and looking down, all you see is a chain link fence in front of the pond. So, you know, it gives us an opportunity to put a bandstand there in front of the pond with in the background and people can kind of sit on the landscape sloped ground facing that bandstand and enjoying the park. In addition to the pool and the bathhouses, we're looking to try to put together a splash pad, which will be a nice bookend in the spring and fall for the kids. I think also Councilor Nest was talking about some sort of heated element to try to extend the season of the pool. And then lastly, the park itself, trying to rehab the park and develop some of the multi-use fields so that families can go out and enjoy the fields, and also some nice landscaping features so that there's some areas that groups can get together and have picnics and whatnot. So I appreciate your time and support in this endeavor, and I know you've got a lot going on, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Knowlton. Ms. Francolino. Oh, you're on mute.
Mute.
Yep, we're good now?
Yes.
Okay. Eileen Francolino, 116 Lydall Road. Like Mr. Knowlton, I'm here today to talk about Mill Pond Pool. Some of my most fond memories as a kid center around the long summer days spent at Mill Pond Park. It was and continues to be a place to gather, to relax, to exercise, and enjoy the beautiful summer days. Without Mill, our town would lose a lot. For many of us, these recreational activities are an important aspect of life in town. The other thing we need to remember is Churchill Pool. It's in poor shape as well. The leaking water presents a yearly challenge. My fear is that without taking care of the problems at Mill, we could end up in a position where our town is left with no pool. And we just can't let that happen. We can't kick this project down the road anymore. We need to have a pool in town. It's a resource that many residents rely on. We need to replace, rebuild, and renew the face of Mill Pond. And I sincerely hope we can count on you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Francolino. All right, let me just double check our participants again, make sure there's no one else waiting. All right, I do not see any other members of the public with their hand raised, so we will move on to, did anyone get any email correspondence for the record? No?
That would have come to James would have it if it did come.
Okay.
No, I don't have
To the
contact
council.
for it yet.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to remarks by counselors on public participation. Seeing none, we will continue on our agenda to the next item, which is consideration of old business. The first item would be a health update regarding COVID-19. Mr. Chapman.
Yes, as you're all aware, the COVID-19 problems seem to start coming back to Connecticut. We're hoping that it's a temporary situation that will get finally resolved, but our hopes may be diminished as time goes on, but we'll see. But at this point, the town hall and town buildings remain closed to the public. We do have, I believe in your packet, the status of the Senior Disabled Center as well as the library. I will say that the Senior Disabled Center will be providing one-on-one appointments for those that need to have in-person consultation and meetings. But they'll be adhering to the protocols that are outlined by the health director. They're going to continue to put their resources into supporting the residents, both virtually and low-tech programs and services. And they will continue to offer the grab-and-go lunches and the grocery shopping program and deliver meals and food from the food pantry. The library is gearing up. They're going to start a program with limited browsing services starting in mid-October. Browsing will be by appointment only with a set number of people allowed in the building during each time increment. They will have 30 minutes to browse and check out their materials. There will be no seating within the library. We do not want folks to get too comfortable. We want them to get their materials and depart the library as quickly as possible. The hours of the library will continue Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., and Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 9:30 to 1 p.m. If you go to the library, you will be required to have a mask on at all times. So overall, we're making a little bit of progress, but it's very slow. And again, I'm happy to report that we have no employees that have come down with COVID-19, which is good. So
You cut out right at the end there, Mr. Chapman. I'm not sure if you're outside or if you're in, but there was something that interfered with the very end of your statement.
I don't know what I was saying though. My memory's short. But anyway, we're pleased that none of our employees have gotten COVID-19. And so we're going to continue to hope for the best and continue to protect not only our citizens and our employees, but anyone entering any of our buildings for any reason.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any council questions or comment? Counselor Nagel?
I'd just like to know if both the library reopening plan, which was on the screen and you've read off of, and also the one from the Senior Disabled Center, are those messages on the town website so people can see them at any time and not be confused as to what is happening or not, which is a question that comes up so often.
I will make sure they are tomorrow morning. I believe they are, but I'll double check those tomorrow morning, yes.
Good, thank you.
Great. Anyone else? All right, seeing nothing, we will move on to our next item, which is Town Hall project update. That's you as well, Mr. Chapman.
The Town Hall project update. Okay, the Town Hall is fully occupied with some remaining areas being the gymnasium being off limits at this point. There's still issues concerning the bleachers and the egress out of the building. But overall, the staff is settling into the building. They're going through the punch list, which was extensive, but we're moving that right along. The old Town Hall, it's remarkable how much is left of the building. Most of the roofs are taken off. All the windows are getting removed. The gymnasium windows, all that glass blocks that were up there, it's all gone. So they're moving right along. I think they're on schedule or ahead of schedule. So it's good to see that at some point, hopefully before the snow flies, we will have the old building down and hopefully some type of a binder parking lot installed for the front of the building. Right now, we're entering it through the back of the building. So things are going well, and I know our staff is working closely with the contractor to get things, completed as quickly as possible. So there's a lot going on, a lot of people working in the building around our employees.
Great. Counselor Mackey, you have a question?
I'm just wondering what the status of the basement and the water is.
The water, apparently the water pipes were the problem. I went down there yesterday, excuse me, yesterday. It's completely dry. However, we haven't had rain, and we're not going to have rain at least for the next 7 days or 10 days. So it's a little difficult to know if the basement is fully sealed and dry. But at this moment, it is totally dry. Which is a good sign. So the piping, whatever the problems were, have been corrected, but the rain and the groundwater situation is still up for discussion, we'll say.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Minor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, just to clarify, the issue with the water in the basement was as a result of a small holding tub that had been damaged. And that was replaced as of last week. They notified the building committee that was replaced, and there has been no further water since then. So I would believe that resolved it.
Well, we haven't had any rain yet either.
Right. So
It was the original problem, the rain, I believe, right?
No, the issue was a tub that was damaged that was leaking out of it. So water was going into this tub and just going right out onto the floor. You can picture like a kitty litter pan. The corner of it was broken. So whatever water was going into the holding pan was just coming right out on the floor.
What was leaking to fill the holding pan?
It's not a leak. It's a retention pan for the 2 pickup lines that just dump off of that. There's a picture in the packet from the town hall rental committee. that I
What are
can forward
those,
you.
what are those lines attached to that are dumping?
I believe it was HVAC or water softening, one or the other.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that. Any other council question or comment? Okay, we will move on. Next item on our agenda is discussion regarding Mill Pond Park Pool Public Building Committee. You'll see on our memo that we received, the item has been included so that we can discuss whether the project scope for the Public Building Committee should include other improvements within the park or be specific to the pool only. This was a question that was posed of us by the committee members as well as I think by counselors in general. We were all trying to get our heads around what the scope for the building project is for that committee. So I'll open it for discussion. Counselor Menke, you have your hand up. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I was one of the ones that asked to have this put on the agenda. I've gotten a lot of comments, or a lot of questions from public asking if we're redoing the whole park or just redoing the pool. It's my understanding, at least my interpretation, is we're just redoing the pool, and any other changes to the park would have to be a different process. But that's my understanding. That's what I'm telling the people that are asking me. But I just want to get a clarification so we're all on the same page, and we're all responding to the public the same way, and maybe give some direction to the committee who is trying to grapple with this issue.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Ennis.
Thank you. James, can you get your hands on the charge of the committee that was voted on by the council?
Sure. Give me a moment, and while you guys are talking,
Okay.
I'll pull it together.
Because, I mean, my understanding was we were to determine where the pool was going to be. And of course, if the pool is going to be relocated, then you have to do improvements to where the existing pool is and where the bathhouse is. So I think we're going on the premise that it's not the entire park at this point, but it would have to include doing improvements to the park in the areas, that we're removing items. So if we could see the charts, I think this was discussed at one of our previous meetings, and it was determined that it wasn't the entire park, that it was going to be done in phases, but this is just the pool and the bathhouse.
The resolution was June 9th.
That is correct. I'm in the process of pulling it up now.
Thank you. I'm sorry. For some reason, I thought I had it and I don't have it with my stuff.
And I agree with Councilor Ennis. It would include moving the pool, if we move the pool. And if we do move the pool, there's obviously then a hole in the ground where the old pool was. We'd have to do something with that. So that would be included. But something like a basketball court, for instance, or a soccer field would not be included. Because that doesn't have anything to do with moving the pool or the pool project.
Right. And I believe there's, a couple of different phases. And I think the way it was presented to us back in June or May, I think the numbers scared everybody. Thank you, James. But I believe it's just the pool. And please, John Donahue, please jump in if you think I'm going off base here with my interpretation of this.
I had a misinterpretation originally, but reading back through the information, it is relocating the pool wherever that's the best location for the pool, and then fixing the pool. And then if there are other phases, they should be considered at other times. That's my new understanding that is the understanding I have now reading through the charge.
Yeah, and you can look at the screen and you'll see in the language in the resolution, the second paragraph specifically states said committee is charged to work with the town manager and or his or her designee and any other appropriate town staff in the oversight of the Mill Pond Park Pool project and related activity. So it doesn't talk about, yeah. Go ahead.
if other like facility, if other areas on the park, if the new pool is going to encroach on those, then that might have to be part of the project as well. Like the ball field, if the ball field has to be reduced in size, then that would be encompassed in this project as well. I don't know if I'm explaining right.
Yeah, no, absolutely correct. You're explaining. it
Okay.
correctly.
Counselor Bedrejko, Deputy Mayor Bedrejko, I'm sorry, you have your hand up?
Yeah, no, I was basically, I guess some of the confusion came where in that paragraph that you just read, the oversight of the Mill Pond Park Pool project and related activities. And my intent, and I thought the intent of the council, was the related activities included things such as perhaps a splash pad or a bathhouse, or if the pool is moved, filling the hole left by the existing pool. But discussions, I think what one of the reasons why this was on the agenda tonight is we've heard discussions about pickleball courts and new tennis courts and amphitheaters and whatever, which is fine, but not the scope of this project. And I'm concerned about scope creep entering into this particular project, because definitely the pool is in need of either replacement or renovation. A splash pad is always a new alternative now, which is good, but beyond that, as much as that I'm a big park person, I love the park. I really do wish that we had I wish we had more parks, whatever. But recently with the opening of the community center and all the wonderful enhancements of the new facility, the recreation program in town has gotten a significant shot in the arm with the new gyms, the community center, the community kitchens, the dance rooms, the exercise rooms, the play, the daycare, whatever, to name a few. And now with the new pool, I think the Parks and Recreation is going to be very strong, even stronger than it is now in town. But I'm also concerned about some of the other things that have suffered. For example, we have Anna Reynolds was delayed because of concerns with financing. The library has been waiting in the wings very patiently. We have a firehouse that can't fit fire trucks into it. We have a senior center that's in need of, they can't get rid of, in their auditorium, they have a useless stage that they've been waiting to get rid of. We have historical buildings in this town that are falling apart. And there's just an awful lot of other needs that I think have to be looked at in the scope of, while we're looking at continuing to enhance and improve and upgrade the recreation facilities. There are parts of the town that I think have been neglected. So we need to take a broader view. So I think limiting it to the pool and related activities, like I said, such as bathhouse or splash pad is fine, but we've got to, in my opinion, limit it to that at this time.
Counselor Carmelo?
One other thing, if we're gonna place the pool in a different spot, this is for Bill DeMayo. Extravaganza fireworks. You have a certain area for a drop zone, depending on how big or how high you want the fireworks to go. Please consider that when you design this, because you may affect future extravaganzas with fireworks. You may not be able to have them. Something to talk to the fire department and public safety about when you do this also.
Mr. DeMayo, are you on with us? Did you want to respond to that?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. There's a only one thing near and dear to my heart, and that's the extravaganza and fireworks. So don't worry about me thinking about fireworks. And we've already gone through it with the architect and the design team.
Have you talked to the fire department about that? Because
I talk to the fire department all the time, not specifically about this, but I know the rules and regulations for the size show that we shoot.
Right.
And we'll be okay.
Yeah, the size may get smaller if your drop zone is too. So that's why I'm mentioning it.
Right. No, you're 100% correct, but I have no intentions of making the show smaller.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Nagel, you're next.
Yes, I just wanted to say that I agree with Deputy Mayor Bodrako about the limitations of this particular project, which I thought was what was supposed to happen in the first place. Not that these other things aren't important in the future. And also to mention that we have that facilities survey and committee or a report coming in, and we have all been eagerly waiting to see what the results of that are before we determine whether we do something more with Parks and Rec, or whether we, because of the urgent need of the structure of a building or whatever, go to one of the other many needy projects that are waiting down the line. I know it's an update is later on our agenda. I know it's not complete. And I eagerly wait for that to be done so that we all can have a clearer idea of where we are, and that if and that including Parks and Rec, they will see exactly where they are in terms of needs or whatever, and plan accordingly if as this does go in phases. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Ennis?
Thank you. For clarification, so you're saying if the pool gets relocated, so now we have the pool that we're filling in and possibly the bathhouse. So I think that's where they're intending, because of the natural topography, to put like an amphitheater. So you're saying that you just want that filled in as open space and not have improvements made to make it into the amphitheater. I mean, I'm just trying to, so when we go back to the committee, we kind of know where we need to go.
That is my understanding of what we're discussing. Yes.
So we're saying we're just going to fill in and not do any improvements, just make it open, just make it park.
Well, I don't think that's what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that the funding and the charge of this particular committee is to address the pool and its activity. As far as if there are other designs and enhancements in the park, that can come at the future and could be funded through whatever funds can come available in the future, but shouldn't be funded under this umbrella, is my view.
Right, but to do, I'm just saying, just being the devil's advocate, so you have this big open spot now where the pool is, so now that's going to be filled in. So at the same time, if the topography has to be such to make it into a natural viewing, wouldn't it be wise to take care of that at this point, rather than just leveling it off and then down the road a future project?
I'm not an engineer and I can't comment on cost and design at this point. We don't even know if you know.
Oh, I agree. I'm just saying, so when we go back to the committee, you know, when we're thinking and talking to the architects, are we just saying to the architect, okay, if we decide we're going to move the pool, now we have this big hole. So just take the dirt you're excavating from here and put it over there and just make it park. Is that what we're?
Counselor Donahue?
I'm not constricting future expansion of the park. I'm not. But I thought that the intent of this particular committee was to build a pool and a splash pad and whatever. And expansion of the park and whatever. Okay. If it can be done, you know, with other funds, with Parks and Rec CIP funds, or, you know, planning in the future or setting that place aside for future amphitheater, that's fine. That's wonderful. But I don't see it under I don't see those kind of enhancements under the umbrella of this particular committee.
Okay.
I mean, when Carol, when we go back to committee, I mean, when we talk to the architect, I'm making up numbers, don't quote me on numbers, please. If it's, 10 grand to fill it in, but it's 11 grand to turn it into an amphitheater, that makes sense, right? Yeah, if it's 10 grand to fill it in and it's 50 grand to do an amphitheater, then we
Right.
got to look at it, right?
Oh, exactly.
So I mean,
Exactly.
we'll have to have that discussion in committee.
Okay.
Okay. Any other council comment or question on this item? So I guess now in terms of the committee's scope, I think the council, how do we want to handle moving this back to committee? Councilor Donahue, do you feel like you have enough information right now? Oh, I see Mr. DeMayo raised his hand, so let me call on Mr. DeMayo. Go ahead, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to help the committee get along and make sure that they know what their task is. I guess one of the big questions that has come up is the demolition of the existing bathhouse. If we do move it from if it goes to a different location, the demolition of the bathhouse would be important because it would be a tremendous eyesore for the public. And we wouldn't open up more space for parkland. So if you move a pool to another location, you want to equalize the open space for people to use. So that's one thing to consider. Second thing is, we may have to move the baseball field because it's becoming an unsafe situation for foul balls. And there's no 90-foot baseball field that I know of built after 1950 that one was built. That's not totally fenced in for safety. So that's a big deal. And then the third thing is we have adult kickball, adult flag football, and adult soccer. Those fields might have to be pushed around 20 yards, 30 yards around. So I think the committee, although I think they understand, it seems like the consensus is that you don't want to build the tennis courts, the basketball, the handicapped accessible basketball, et cetera, and pickleball. But there are, I guess, under related, the verbiage you guys use, the related topics, maybe you could include the demolition of the bathhouse, consideration for the adult fields and sports fields to be moved appropriately in a safe public feature.
Thank you, Bill. Councilor Camillo?
Getting back to the fireworks for the extravaganza, one thing, if I remember right, during past extravaganzas, the pool couldn't be used that day, so your splash pad and your new pool would fall under the same thing, correct?
Not really, because we're thinking of moving it to the Garfield Street area for a lot of reasons, but just for your own knowledge, the pool, it touches the fence. The circle of safety touches the fence. So I actually think the pool could have been used if they so desired. It's the tennis courts, the 4 tennis courts out of 8, I believe, are in the drop zone.
Okay.
In half of a basketball court.
All right. Thank you.
Councilor Mankey? You're on mute, Councilor.
Sorry about that. Just to clarify, yeah, if we're moving the bathhouse, then obviously we're going to take the old bathhouse down. We're not saying we leave a building there that's going to be just an eyesore. We want to preserve all the open space in the park we possibly can. So if we're moving the bathhouse up, we need to remove the old bathhouse, and I believe that would be included in my interpretation of the scope of this project. And so that's just my gut feeling is that it's included as part of the scope, because if we are relocating, and we have to get rid of the old pool and the old bathhouse.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Mankey. Councilor Minor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to clarify a couple things, I think that if the bathhouse and the existing pool were to be removed, that whole area is going to be heavily excavated. I think at the very least, the committee should consider, if nothing else, to at least set the slope to basically be able to accommodate future expansion of a bandshell addition at a later date. The slope modification wouldn't be anything different than just grading what the existing is to potentially what it would be for the future. And the same thing would hold true with any modifications going in on the Garfield Street side that might have to push some of the other activities away, I think that should all be included, at least to acknowledge the site preparation work. Maybe not necessarily to do full scope, but at least to start the process. So that way, if funds were to be able to come available or grants were to be able to come available at a later date, to be able to just pick it up and to continue. So at least the advance work was done. That's just my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Minor. Counselor Menke?
I agree. This, when you're filling in the pool and taking down the bathhouse, if the slope work does not add considerable expense to the project, then that's one thing. If the slope work adds a big portion to the project, then that's not included, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. Any other council comment or question? Okay. Yeah, I think I agree with the discussion around the table that really the focus needs to be on the pool and related, the way the resolution was worded, related activities. So in other words, the bathhouse, a splash pad, whatever is related to that pool function certainly should be the primary focus of the scope of work with this committee. And then any ancillary pieces in terms of how to fill it in or whatever, that certainly can be brought forward. The committee will make recommendations, but understanding that the will of this council at this point appears to be that we keep it to a minimum because of some other needs in town, and that we would have to phase things in later on, perhaps other improvements to the park is what I'm hearing. Is shake of heads. Does that sound like an accurate representation of what everyone's saying today?
I believe so, yes.
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 Yep.
So
Yes.
Councilor Donahue, thank you. Thank you, guys. Councilor Donahue, as chair of that committee, do you feel like you have enough information or input from this body to take back to committee in terms of the scope?
Yes, I do.
Okay, then I think we're all set with this agenda item. We will move on. Our next item for discussion is an update on the facilities study. Mr. Chapman.
Yes, contained within your agenda packet, you'll see a report that was submitted from Owens concerning the work that's been going on inspecting all of the facilities that the town owns. According to the report as of September 8th, or September 14th, I should say, the prior associates have completed their on-site inspections of all facilities. They're in the process of pulling all information together. Owens Realty Services is working on complying with the HVAC and MEP data for the sites, inclusion into the prior report. Tom Hulk had met with the Board of Ed. I'll get to it. For the town, Gary, our town engineer, and to look at maintenance records and so forth. And we anticipate that they're going to have a first draft report to the council, or to us at least, on October 8th. So they're moving right along now. So that's good timing for us. And we'll see what that report says. I can just tell you that in my own visiting to various buildings in town, there's a lot of work to be done. And I don't know what the priorities are going to be, but we'll see that hopefully very shortly. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think Councilor Bedrejko really hit it on the head earlier with her comments. She listed quite a number of areas for consideration, certainly, and that certainly is not a all-inclusive list, but very relative to the discussion for sure. I'm glad to see the date of October 8th. That's right around the corner. This is really a study that we've been waiting patiently for. It's going to drive a lot of what our work looks like for the next several years. So I'm glad to see it's on the horizon, and we can get our hands on that soon. Councilor Menke, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm like everybody else, waiting for the report anxiously to see what we do for our priorities. I just might suggest we may want to schedule a separate council meeting to discuss the report when it comes in, and maybe sort of start working on some form of prioritizing what gets done. I kind of, in this climate, I'm kind of unwilling to spend a whole lot of money on anything unless we know what our priorities are. We need to know what needs to get fixed and what needs to get fixed now and what needs to get fixed down the road. But we need some kind of a handle on what our properties all look like. And I'm anxiously hoping this report will give us that information.
Mhm. Yeah, if I can just relate it to that, I think I'm anxious to see the report. I believe that they're going to help prioritize those items for us is the intent. And then certainly I think we need to rely heavily on Mr. Chapman and his staff to help guide us in terms of prioritizing that based on what the report says and what we know to be true of our needs in town and in terms of our staffing needs and our different departments and what we're looking at. And then really, Mr. Chapman's going to be the one to guide us because we're going to be entering into CIP discussions and looking at how to fund different aspects of these projects, either through CIP or through bonding. And so that's going to really have to, hopefully, Mr. Chapman, you'll be able to steer us and help us make those decisions.
I will tell you that we're preparing now for that conversations to occur. You are faced, I think, with some major challenges that are going to require a lot of discussion to determine what path you want to go down.
Mhm. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you. We'll move on. The next item is introduction of our emergency management director. And I believe Ms. Menke is with us on the call. I see you there. Hi, Megan.
Hi, thank you.
Mr. Chapman, do you want to go ahead and introduce this item?
Yeah, Megan Menke, I've only known for about 8 months now, but she's a great employee working for the town. When I met her, she was part-time over at the fire department, doing a multitude of different things. And now we've made her full-time, but her write-up that you have received in your packet is pretty impressive for who she is and how old she is and where she came from and where she wants to get to. So I'm not going to read it all, but just I believe that her background and her experience working with the previous chief for 7 or 10 years, being a firefighter and now working in the fire marshal's office and her education, it all puts it together. She's a good catch for the town, and we're happy to have her. And she has been working with the emergency management system for a number of years, and with Chris Schroeder's departure to retirement, that was part of his role in the past as the director. And I've made a decision that because of Megan's experience, that she would make a perfect director going forward. So I've appointed her that position, and I'm very pleased so far. So this is your day, Megan, to shine, you know.
That's wonderful news. Congratulations, Megan.
Thank you very much. And thank you, Keith, for having the faith in me and appointing me.
Thank you. Thank you for the update, Keith. And good luck, Megan.
Good luck.
Well, we only have to use you hypothetically and not in real situations.
Good
Me
luck.
too. Me too.
Mhm.
Okay, any other council comment or question? All right, seeing none, we will go on to new business, which the first item under new business tonight is an update from our superintendent of schools on the opening of school. Dr. Brummett, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome and congratulations, Megan Mankey, on your new position. My memo has been already sent in, but I do have a few updates since that memo was processed. We do have about 3,956 students in district right now, and about 73% of the kids are in what we call a hybrid model. So they attend school 2 days a week and they're remote learning 3 days a week. That's our current model for all students except pre-K. They're in 4 days a week. 5% of our kids are coming in 4 days a week. We've identified students who needed extra support. So from the start of school, they were coming in almost full time. And about 21% of our kids are on a remote model. And that means they're learning from home. And that looks a little different at every level. If you're high school and middle school, you're what we call synchronous learning, that you log into what your class is doing in real time at the middle or high school level. But at the elementary level, we have teachers that are actually dedicated for kids who are fully remote. So that's kind of what we look like right now. We do have a committee forming that is going to look at bringing some of our elementary kids back gradually over the next coming weeks to a 4-day per week model. So we're working with our health director, Charles Brown, hand in glove about how to bring kids back. He's recommending a gradual model, so we're following that. We hope by October 5th that we've got our K1 kids back 4 days a week. And then each week we would add another set of children. We are going to still make Wednesday a full online day to allow teachers that necessary planning time, but it's also time for the kids to get support from an online model with their teachers. Now, I'm sure the question of the day is, what are you doing about COVID cases? Have there been any? We had one, I should say. It was at our high school. And because of our following of all our protocols, our social distancing, our masks, it only required that individual to quarantine. It did not require the high school to close down or quarantine multiple classrooms. So we were fortunate that it was a case where we could really keep the ball rolling forward. But, you know, as time rolls along, that could change. COVID rates statewide are still quite good, but there is a slight uptick. And the theory behind that now is it's really some of the colleges that have come back, and the kids are getting together for various social events, and that creates more high risk. I was on a DPH phone call this morning, and there have been no actual transmission of COVID while in a school setting. And that would be true in our case, where the individual that was tested positive did get that from a family member versus coming to school to be exposed. And I'm on superintendent calls all the time, and that's been true for my colleagues statewide as well. So we've been fortunate thus far. That could change, of course, but we do hope to get a little more time with the kids face to face in the coming weeks. And again, it's all driven by metrics. If the metrics change, then we would hold tight and keep on the hybrid model, or if they get very significantly worse, we would go to more of a full online model. So that's kind of the long and short of it. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And I appreciate the opportunity to give everyone an update.
That's great. All good news. Thank you, Dr. Brummett. Counselor Mankey, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to compliment Dr. Brummett, you and your staff. I think how you can organize all this, and so it would take me years to figure this out, and it's taken you only a few months to get it figured out. Even though everything changes, like every time I turn around and read the paper or the news, there's another edict from on high. And I just appreciate the fact that you guys and your team stayed on top of this. We've managed to open schools. Kids are trying to get back to normal, which is really important, I think. Education is still happening, and it seems like our school system and our teachers and our staffs are prepared for this. I know I follow my daughter teaches in another school system, and they are nowhere near prepared, even though they're a bigger system than ours, but they're nowhere near prepared as our system is. And I just want to thank you and your staff for that work. It's thankless work, I know, and it's probably a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of hair pulling and yelling and hollering, but I appreciate your efforts.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Deputy Mayor Bedrejko.
Yes, and first of all, I want to echo what Councilor Mankey said. Thank you very much. I'm sure tonight, actually, you'd rather be sleeping than updating us, but you're taking time out of your schedule. And from what I've been reading in the papers and online, Newington is doing really well comparatively to other school systems. But I've got just a few questions. The first question I have is, I noticed, are we having any issues with substitute teachers like some of the other surrounding towns are?
That's an excellent question, Councilman Bedrejko. Yeah, we have subs, but they're not in huge supply. So, our HCD department did a great job of really getting everybody back to work, and we've made accommodations for some teachers that needed it. But our sub bench is not deep. So should there be some sort of outbreak, it could impact us. As many of you probably read in the news today, Colchester had to close today, not due to COVID, but due to the lack of teaching staff. I would hope that we wouldn't get to that point, but subs are in high demand and in short supply right now.
Okay. And I just have just a question on the chart that's on the screen now. I'm just curious if you could comment. It looks like there's 2 schools that have had, I mean, I think there's significant enrollment changes. Ruth Chafee is up 24 and the high school is down 40. Can you comment on either of those?
Yes, Ruth Chafee is one of our schools that is growing right now, and it's creating some higher class sizes. So we've got to keep an eye on that. We've been at the tipping point of adding another teacher there for about 2 years now, but we've tried to hold firm and not do that. High school, I would venture to say that what we've noticed, especially since that case in a few weeks back, is we had a number of children go both to a full online model, and we've had a higher number of students as a whole going to what's called a homeschool model. Normally we have about maybe 20 kids district-wide whose parents say, pulling them out of school entirely, they're going to be homeschooled till further notice. This year we're almost double that, and I have to believe it's because of COVID. Plus our online model is pretty rigorous, and some parents may not want to dedicate that kind of time. So a homeschooling model does not have a whole lot of accountability. So parents may opt for that for a while. I suspect that will change in a year's time, but that is my current theory on why we've had some changes, especially at the high school level.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Nagel?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Vidraco asked about teachers and numbers of teachers and substitutes and so on. I'd also like to ask the same kind of question in regards to our bus drivers. Do we have substitutes? I see the big sign out saying that we're looking for bus drivers. What is the situation there, and how is the schedule going in terms of buses getting kids to there and from there? And do you have some kind of logistics worked out if indeed you do bring more students into schools at the same time?
That's a great question. We set up our bus schedule with the understanding, because I was pretty public about it back in August, that if the metrics stayed stable or, even went lower, that we would be looking to bring more kids in. So our bus routes are set up that they won't change if we go full in person. So they're ready to just take on more students if they need to. I will say that many parents have opted to drive their children in this year, probably out of fear that too many kids on the bus would be something of a concern for our bus. Our students are following the mask protocol, and you have to wear a mask on the bus. You have to face forward, one to a seat, so on and so forth. So we do have that, and some of our buses have monitors, not a lot of monitors, but a few here and there. We do have enough drivers at this time, and a few subs as well. So we are in good shape there. And actually we've taken on a all hands on deck approach. So on Wednesdays, as I mentioned, we have an online model. So our bus drivers are actually going to schools on Wednesday to clean, to enhance our cleaning protocols. And actually in between bus runs, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they're also going to the schools to clean bathrooms and touch points. We didn't want to hire extra custodial staff, so we asked our bus drivers to take on some additional responsibilities, and it's gone very, very well.
That's good to hear, and I'm glad to see that the plan is going forward and everyone is safe and hopefully will remain safe.
That's the hope.
Anyone else? Dr. Brumman, I'm just curious, how are we doing budgetarily in terms of the COVID-related expenses?
Excellent question as well. We have spent a lot of money on COVID preparations, such as cleaning supplies, PPEs. We've used a product called a desk shield, which has been invaluable for allowing for mask breaks. I believe I don't know if I reported this to the town council, but we were able to, about a month or two ago, we were asked to fill out a survey. And in the survey, we were allowed to put forth the types of expenses we had with COVID that were above and beyond what we budgeted for. So I put in for about $1 million in PPEs, cleaning supplies, and I put in for a little bit more than what actually came through for bus expenses for personnel because we've hired bus monitors, we've hired security guards because our AM PM drop off are quite busy right now because there's a lot of parents bringing their kids to schools. So I was notified about a month ago that we were eligible to get back of all those expenses about $1,067,000. Unfortunately, the state took forever to get us the application. I just got it today, literally. Now I'm weeding through what the process is to get that money back. And we're allowed to put in for expenses, both a look back to March when the crisis hit and a look forward to December of this year. So now that I've gotten some guidance from the state on that, I'll be looking to secure that reimbursement money.
That's great news. Wonderful.
Yes, we're very fortunate. We've got a lot more money than many of our comparable districts.
That means you're doing something right for sure in terms of how you're filing and what you're recording for.
Trying to. They made it a survey, so some people took it lightly, but I went right into our books and I said, Lou, I need everything. So we put in for $1 million and we got $1 million.
That really is great. Thank you. Yeah.
What happens?
Excellent. Anybody else have any questions? Great. Thank you, Dr. Brummett. Really appreciate the update. And I know the public is probably very appreciative too. Everybody's wondering how things are going. We hear so many, news stories, but it's nice to hear how well it's going for us so far. And I'm knocking on wood.
And fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to move on to our next item, which is a police non-emergency interagency agreement. We have Chief Clark with us. Welcome, Chief.
Welcome. Thank you. Actually, I'd like to first say I appreciate you getting this on the agenda so quickly. And basically what this is a update of a long-standing agreement between the mid-state police departments, and that's Berlin, Cromwell, Newington, Rocky Hill, and Weathersfield. And how this agreement applies to how the departments work together is we have a mid-state accident reconstruction team, and basically it's a group of officers. We have 2 officers that are assigned to the union, and we're actually in the process of training a 3rd. They go out and they investigate serious fatal motor vehicle accidents or high liability accidents involving a municipal vehicle or a state vehicle. So they train frequently. So there's a group of officers amongst the mid-state departments that handle those types of services. We also have a mid-state major crime squad. Again, those are detectives that are assigned to a crime scene unit, and they go out and they process scenes. How this agreement might work too is if we have a joint traffic enforcement detail. So in other words, if we decided we were going to do some traffic enforcement on the Berlin Turnpike, and that was between officers from Weathersfield, Newington, and Berlin, this agreement would work toward that. And as well as we had the extravaganza, I don't know if you recall, there were some officers from some of the mid-state departments that helped out with our staffing for the extravaganza. So that's basically how this agreement works. Like I said, it's a long-standing agreement. It's probably 20 years plus. It just needed to be updated. It was reviewed by the town attorney who saw no issues with it. So it's before you tonight to be voted on and basically to codified so we can move forward.
Okay. So Chief, this doesn't say waiver on it. So are you okay to wait until our next meeting in 2 weeks for us to vote on it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, I'm sorry. That's fine. Yep.
Okay.
We're good
Just
with that.
making sure.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions, guys? Or comments? Counselor Camillo?
Hi, Chief. This is one of the things, hopefully in the future, we can start looking at is regionalizing with the other departments and municipalities. This is a start. I know we've been doing this for many years, but since we're talking about it, maybe the council and the town manager should look at this again in the future and sit down with you.
And it's kind of get your foot in the door, so to speak. So yes, sharing of resources in an effort to try to reduce costs.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Chief, I want to thank you. When I was reading this, and I know we've done it before, but it is always nice. We're always looking for ways to work with other communities and, like you said, to share costs essentially and try and keep things down. So I appreciate your efforts in updating this agreement and bringing it to us.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, and we'll move this to our agenda for 2 weeks from tonight so that we can take action on it. And thanks for your patience. It was a long meeting and you waited there this whole time, so thank you.
That's okay.
Have a good evening.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda is Emergency Management Performance Grant. This is an item that is presented to us for consideration this evening. So even though it's new business, there was a waiver requested as the grant application deadline is September 30th. And tonight is the 22nd. So our next meeting would be after that deadline. So Mr. Chapman, do you want to talk about this one?
Well, actually, Megan is still here, so I'd like her to talk about it.
Okay, great. Megan, go right ahead.
Uh-oh.
I believe Janet is still here too, so feel free to chime in if I'm wrong about anything that I say. The EMPG is it's not something that I've been involved in past years, so that's why I say that. It's a yearly federal grant program from FEMA that provides funding assistance for eligible emergency management costs. So in Newington, what we do is we put in for to offset our staffing. So it offsets, in previous years, it would offset both what I would make every year and Chief Schroeder's salary. And this year it's going to be the same type of setup.
Okay. And so I'm guessing, we don't like to waive the rules, so to speak, but there clearly is a time deadline here. And I'm guessing part of the reason it was a little bit late coming to us was perhaps the departure of our chief. And would that be?
Yeah, they're just trying to figure out which names to put in there and trying to figure out what the amount we need to submit for was.
Okay. Counselors, any questions? So what we need to do is I need to entertain a motion to waive the rules first so that we can take action. Counselor Megan, did you have a question first or is that what you were going to do? Oh, you're muted.
I should have a button in my forehead say muted, unmuted. I would read the resolution just to get it forward.
Thank you.
Resolved that Newington Town Council, in accordance with Section 11 of the Town Council Rules of Procedure adopted February 11, 2020, hereby moves to allow action on agenda item 7C to execute the fiscal year 2020 Emergency Management Performance Grant application.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Braverman. Any discussion on the waiving of the rules in order to take action this evening? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Don't we have to open it for public?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. The second I said it. We're gonna
No, you're good, Mayor. You're going to vote on the waiver, then you're going to waive once you've moved the motion on the actual motion.
Public participation is on the actual item. Thank you. All right, so we will go to a roll call vote on waiving of the rules.
Counselor Anist?
Yes.
Counselor Braverman?
Yes.
Counselor Budraco?
Yes.
Counselor Camillo?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Mankey?
Yes.
Counselor Minor?
Yes.
Counselor Nagel?
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono?
Yes.
9-0.
Great, motion passes. Now we will move to the actual item. Now that we've waived the rules to take action, we need someone to read the actual resolution in, and then we'll go ahead with public and council participation. Who's going to raise their hand for me to read that motion in? Counselor
read it.
Camillo?
Authorizing resolution of the Newington Town Council. Resolved that the Town of Newington Town Council may enter into with and deliver to the State of Connecticut Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection, Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, any and all documents which it deems to be necessary or appropriate, and be it further resolved that Keith Chapman, as the town manager of the Town of Newington, is authorized and directed to execute and deliver any and all documents on behalf of the Town of Newington, and to do and perform all acts and things which he deems to be necessary or appropriate to carry out the terms of such documents. Be it further certified that Keith Chapman now holds the office of town manager and that he has held that office since January 10th, 2020.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Nagel. We will now open it to public participation on this item. Correct me if I'm wrong, James. All
No,
right.
you are good, Mayor.
Thank you. So if you are a member of the public, you can raise your hand in the participants box if you're in the Zoom app. If you are dialing in through Zoom, then you can use the *9 function to raise your hand to be recognized. We'll just give it a moment. I do not see anyone raising their hand, so we will go ahead with council discussion. We did discuss a little. Does anyone else have any other question or comment regarding this? Counselor Mankey?
This seems like a no-brainer to approve it. It's seems like a win-win for everybody.
For sure, I agree. All right, I don't see any other council hands up, so we will go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Counselor Anist?
Yes.
Counselor Braverman?
Yes.
Counselor Bucciaco?
Yes.
Counselor Camillo?
Yes.
Counselor Donahue?
Yes.
Counselor Mankey?
Yes.
Counselor Minor?
Yes.
Counselor Nagel?
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono?
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you, Susan. All right, folks, thank you. And thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
All right, we will move on. Our next item is Mill Pond Park Pool Project Architect. So you will see in your packet, we have the Mill Pond Park Pool Public Building Committee at its September 14th meeting voted to recommend to the town council the appointment of TLB Architecture LLC to complete various professional services relative to the Mill Pond Park project. This item is one for consideration this evening. We would not be looking to vote on this until our next council meeting, I believe. And I will open it up there, our attachments for consideration as well. John, you're chair of that committee. Is there anything else you wanted to add for that? Counselor Donahue?
Sorry, my screen just lost its mind, whatever it did. No, I think we wanted to, look at the attachments in the packet and, discuss them.
Okay. So I will open it up for discussion, counselors. Counselor Mankey.
Make check if I'm muted. No, I'm muted. Okay. Just a quick survey of this. My question is, we're paying $3,250 for a bridge survey and $1,000 for wetland mapping. Can maybe someone explain what that entails or why that's in here?
Mr. DeMay, are you with us? Do you want to take that?
I am with you. I can't tell. Is Mike Fortuna online?
Yes, he is.
I think I'll defer. He's the expert. We'll let him answer that if it's okay.
Sure, absolutely. Mr. Fortuna, welcome.
Thank you. So the bridge survey, because part of the property is designated as a floodplain, if we look to replace the bridges, we need to do a survey so that the overflow of the river or the stream doesn't impact the bottom of the bridge. So it's really a survey of the water level, the mean water level in the stream, the flood level of the stream, and the bottom of the bridge to make sure that we don't damage the bridge in a flood condition. Wetlands is just delineating wetland soils. So that's separate from the bridge survey. So that's determining based on the town's wetlands mapping, overlaying the town's wetland map onto the survey so that we know where the upland review area is. So those are two separate things. One's related to flood and one's related to wetland soils.
Okay, but if we're just talking about replacing or the pool, I don't think we're talking about replacing any bridges at this point. Is that correct? Or is that, does that have to go back then? And because our prior discussion, you may not have been on here, but our prior discussion was we're just working with the pool issue, not necessarily redoing the whole park.
Understood. The intent of this effort is to get all of the background information on the park together so that you've got a comprehensive survey of the park. You could choose not to do certain elements. The bridge survey is one of them. You might decide to reduce the amount of area where we look for the underground utilities. But the risk you run is even if we move the pool, we may get into floodplain issues. And so we'll need the background information, whether we replace the bridge or not. So you might end up in future phases having to go back out to get this information at a higher cost than mobilizing a surveyor and a survey team once. But it's certainly up to you how you want to do it.
So in a sense, you're saying it's once the surveyor is out there, it's cheaper to do it all at once than it is to have them come back out again.
Right. Yeah, the mobilization costs, the more times you send them out there. And then you also run the risk of having different survey crews. So you end up with different maps and then have to merge those maps. So your engineering department or your GIS department may prefer to have it all. From our standpoint, the critical information is the information related to wherever we land the pool and have to any of the spin-off from that, the demo, backfill, all the things you talked about. So you can fine tune this thing, and ultimately you'll probably end up paying more to get the information you need for future phases.
Okay. Counselor Manky, you all set?
Yeah, for now I am, yes.
Okay. Counselor Camillo?
Question. You've got 10 pins at $150 each. Now, is that to place new pins or locate the old pins?
That's to place new pins.
Wouldn't we already have the park already surveyed somewhere within the town, and the engineering department may have it, or GIS, and we could go off those maps? And there would be pins already placed or monuments.
Yeah, so if you look at everywhere along the perimeter of this, if you look at the diagram that's up on the screen, every place where the perimeter changes direction, probably doesn't have an existing pin. I can't tell you that we've walked the full perimeter to see if there's a pin at every turn, but typically there's not. I think there were 30 some odd changes in location, and the committee felt like 10 was a reasonable amount to carry because there may be some in place. There may be some where it's not contentious. So if it's town property to town property, you're not going to fight with yourself. But if it's town property up against a neighbor, you may want to be very clear about where that property line is.
And we would have all those plans for each property in the building department.
Yeah, but not as an A2 boundary survey. You've got plot plans, but those aren't necessarily legal surveys.
Okay. Wouldn't they have done an A2 though before they built it and filed it with the town?
before they built the park or the houses.
The house is adjacent to the park.
Not necessarily. Back in the 50s when most of those houses were built, probably not.
Okay. This is for Keith. When we did our CIP, we put money aside to inspect the bridges and culverts. Would we be able to cover that there? Would that be part of it, looking at those two bridges that are in the park?
As far as paying for them?
Well, no. Would Gary already have inspected those, considering
I
that
would
was
say no.
okay? But we did put money aside for that.
I do not believe that he's inspected these bridges, no.
Okay. Can you go back to the back last screen, please? Wetlands, update finding, update plans. And would we use a surveyor from Newington for that?
The surveyor that's on the design team is Martinez Couch out of Rocky Hill.
Okay, because I know we have some more than capable right here in town. It'd be nice to keep the money in town also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Badrejko?
Yeah, I have a question on your August 14th memo, revised September 15th. And item number 2, regarding the land survey, it says the proposal includes a boundary survey of the entire park, as well as topographic survey of Area A, which encompasses all the areas of significant work. So I understand that. Then it also says we have included, as an additional service, a topographic survey of Area B, which may be desirable for the town's records or future use. Can you cost that out for me? Because if it's something that might be desirable, we may need it, maybe this, maybe that. I'm just wondering whether it belongs under the auspices of this project. If it's something that we really don't see a need for at this time, or what the cost would be, or does it really would be the purview of another town department?
The survey for Area B is $11,000. It's further down in that memo under optional services. So the reason we put it as optional is we don't necessarily need it to update the master plan or even do future phases of the work. But I know a lot of towns are trying to build out their GIS mapping and trying to survey all of their town properties. So again, it's economy of scale. While the surveyor is out there, you could get a full topo survey of Area B for $11,000. If you came back a year from now, it's probably going to be more than that.
Okay, but okay, now I see now. So that's not included in what we're being asked to consider.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other council comments or questions? Okay, I don't see anyone's hands up, so this item will be moved to next council's agenda, correct?
Correct.
And we will consider it then for a vote.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. The next item is the item that we added earlier, which is 8-24 referral to TPZ regarding the property at 690 Cedar Street. So the purpose of this referral would be to get an opinion or get a ruling, I guess, from TPZ regarding the sale of that property and get their blessing of that. Mr. Chapman, would you like to add anything else?
No, I think you've covered it. It's strictly an 8-24 referral to the commission for their input. And then that will come back to you for your consideration, and then if things proceed, then you'll either take an action or not take an action.
Okay. And so because we are looking to take action on this evening, hoping to get it on the TPZ agenda for tomorrow. They have a meeting scheduled, so we are looking to waive the rules on this. Councilor Mankey, would you go ahead and read that for us?
Resolved that the Newington Town Council, in accordance with Section 11 of the Town Council Rules of Procedure, adopted February 11th, 2020, hereby moves to allow action on agenda item 7E to refer to the Town Planning and Zoning Commission for its 8-24 report on the sale of town property located at 690 Cedar Street.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Nagel. Any discussion on the waiving of the rules so that we may take action this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Annis,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco, Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you. We now need to read the motion into the record so that we can discuss. Who would like to do that?
Read it if you want.
Go ahead. Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Councilor Annis.
Okay, resolved that the Newington Town Council hereby directs and authorizes the town manager to submit to the Town Plan and Zoning Commission for its report in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes 8-24 regarding the proposed sale of town property located at 690 Cedar Street.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Mankey. And now we will open it up for any member of the public that would like to comment on this. Again, if you are a member of the public and want to be recognized, you need to use the raise your hand function. If you're in the Zoom app, that's in the participants window. If you are phoning in through Zoom, you can use the *9 function to raise your hand and be recognized. We'll just give it a moment to see if anyone raises their hand. All right, I don't see anyone right now, so we will move on to council discussion on this item. Is there any council comment or question?
Nope.
Okay, it's a pretty straightforward comment item for us to just refer to TPZ for the 8-24. So I think we can go ahead and do a roll call vote.
Counselor Annis,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes,
9-0.
thank you, Susan. All right, thank you, everybody. That was good. We will move on. The next item is resignations and appointments. I don't believe we have any this evening.
We do not. Our side doesn't.
We do not.
Okay, thank you. We will move on now to tax refunds. We have approval of September 22nd, 2020 refunds for an overpayment of taxes. Deputy Mayor Budraco, if you would.
Resolved that property tax refunds in the amount of $3,546.63 are hereby approved in the individual amounts and for those named on the request for refund of an overpayment of taxes certified by the revenue collector, a list of which is attached to this resolution.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Braverman. Any discussion on this item? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote, please.
Counselor Annis,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Mankey,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono,
Yes.
9-0.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next item is minutes of previous meetings. We need to accept the minutes of September 8th regular meeting and September 9th special meeting. I believe we can do one motion for both if everybody's okay with that. Who would like to go ahead and move that?
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor, motioned by Counselor Menke, seconded by Counselor Anist. Any discussion on those 2 minutes? Seeing none, I was looking at Counselor Nagel because I count on you for this, Dave.
I'm good.
All right. All right, seeing no discussion, we will go ahead with the roll call vote, please.
Counselor Anist,
Yes.
Counselor Braverman,
Yes.
Counselor Budraco,
Yes.
Counselor Camillo,
Yes.
Counselor Donahue,
Yes.
Counselor Menke,
Yes.
Counselor Minor,
Yes.
Counselor Nagel,
Yes.
Mayor Del Buono.
Yes,
9-0.
thank you. Won't it be nice to go back to in-person meetings where you don't have to do roll call on every item?
Yes.
Cannot wait.
It is pretty
Raise your
cumbersome, I know. I appreciate you going along with it, though. It really makes sense in this forum. Next item on our agenda is written and oral communications from the town manager, Mr. Chapman.
The only thing I have tonight is we're coming up to the first quarter of the new budget for 2020-21. And I believe I've sent you out a communication today on what we've been trying to do is find ways in which to reduce costs going forward. We really don't know what is going to happen with this COVID situation. And we're going to be looking closely now at our revenue from our taxes because we had the 3-month deferment. It's coming to an end. And we're hoping that we still have a high collection rate. However, we don't know yet what that will be. I'll be able to report to that on that probably next month, later in the month to you. So we're very cautious at this point on spending money this year in anticipation of trying to save money next year. So if an opportunity comes along to reduce our costs in the future, we're taking advantage of it at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Yes, I did read that correspondence earlier today. And I have to say, it's refreshing to have someone who's looking very closely at those numbers as we go. I feel like so often we don't pay enough attention until it's almost too late. And then we're trying to figure things out in a reactive way. So I appreciate your proactive efforts in making sure that we're on target. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Deputy Mayor Budraco?
Yeah, Keith, I have a question, kind of off the wall, but there's starting to be inquiries on Facebook about Halloween in town. And I know Governor Lamont hasn't issued, executive order number 777 yet about it, but I do believe that at this point, he's still kind of leaving it up to individual towns, but some individual towns are taking action. I know we're very fortunate to have I believe our Parks and Rec department is going to still be having some kind of Halloween celebration for kids. No, they're not.
Is Bill still with us?
Yeah. Yes, he is.
Bill, I thought I saw that you were going to still be doing something for.
No, due to COVID-19, we've canceled everything, Scarecrow contest, Halloween.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I can tell you is there is a church that has reserved the municipal parking lot and do plan on doing a trick or trunk or trunk or treat or something. However, we have given them the governor's recommendations about not having over 100 people or they, run the risk of being fined, but they are moving forward with that idea.
Okay, thanks, Bill. Now, Keith, I'm just wondering if you're even if you're just going to leave it up to parents, if you're anticipating just providing guidance, or if you're just going to keep silent. I was just wondering if you're even thought about it yet.
I have not, and I would say that this is a role that the parents of this town have to take on and protect their children. I don't think you're going to see a lot of trick-or-treaters out there. I think most people have come to the conclusion that it's just not something that should be done this year. But we haven't had any direct contact or communications with the public about it. It's been left up to the parents of these children.
Okay.
We can send out I can have Charlie Brown, develop something for us to issue out from the health district if you'd like.
Well, I think because, again, like I said, I've seen several inquiries on Facebook. Is Newington going to have it or are they not? Are they going to have it? Or are they going to not? So maybe just something about, advise, we're not going to come out with an official statement, but we advise, following the CDC guidelines and something like that.
Okay, we'll take care of that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Counselor Annis, go ahead.
Thank you. Keith, I have a question regarding the Anna Reynolds referenda. Is the town going to be preparing explanatory text to be mailed out to the residents so they know what they're voting on come November 3rd? And previous, because absentee ballots are going out very soon. So people are going to be voting on a question that they might not have a lot of knowledge of, i.e. because we're not having live meetings and it's just because of everything going on. And, I don't think we should rely on Facebook to give all the most accurate information.
I do not have an answer for you. Is Janet still on?
Let me check.
Yep, I'm still here.
Janet, can you respond to that at all?
We're not preparing anything on our side. I believe the Board of Ed was putting something together. I can check with them tomorrow to confirm.
Do we have to do one in accordance with our resolution?
We are in the process of completing that. I'm in the process of finalizing that now for sending over to Ben. So they'll go out with the October 2nd mailing.
Okay, the October 2nd mailing.
Of absentee ballots. They go out on October 2nd.
So, but just the text, but not the explanation of how the funds, like when we did the
Correct.
town hall reno, it was a little bit, there was a mailer that was sent out and it kind of gave a lot of, explanation to the project.
Correct. I did get some of that information from Dr. Brummett, and I'm going to be working with Janet later on this week to have some pieces put together so we can mail that out as well.
So those will go out with the absentee ballots.
The
And how about
explanatory
those-
text will, yes. Yep.
But no actual mailer. Like
Well, we can
town
still try and
mailer.
get that mailer out.
But do we have to, in accordance with,
The mailer, no.
passed?
The
Okay.
explanatory text is a yes.
right, I know the explanatory text.
Correct. And we did just get that
okay.
approval from the Secretary of State. So that is on our ballot. We've already gotten the proofs on that. So we are clear there.
Right, but there's not going to be an insert explaining it, or yes?
There will be an insert, yes. Yep.
Okay, so how
that's
about
the insert.
those people that are voting live?
We'll have that at the polling locations as well in a poster format. We do that
So
each
there'll be-
time.
So there'll be nothing sent out in advance?
I can work with Keith on that and Janet, and we can try to get together a mailer that can go out as well.
Okay.
I think, and I'm going to say this because it is the Board of Ed's kind of project. That mailer that we did last time was done by, the town manager's office in conjunction with the bond council. And I'm pretty sure I thought Maureen and Lou were putting something together. But as I said, I'll double check with them tomorrow.
Yeah, because I think I don't know the ins and outs, but I thought it was supposed to come out from the council and not from the Board of Ed or from the town side to give the facts. So if we can look into that and see, because I've had many inquiries, like, is there going to be receiving anything? People really don't understand, the referendum, where's the money coming? What's this, the 17 million plus? So I think there needs to be more explanation out there than what's out there. There's been nothing in the newspapers. So I just think that our residents need to be more informed before they vote yes or no on this referenda question.
Correct.
Well, I do know that an attorney got a hold of Keith and I think it was last week, with some questions. So there might be something coming out on that.
You mean a reporter?
Yeah.
Oh, you said an attorney.
Sorry, reporter.
That's
not
okay.
reporter.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's great. I mean, if it's somebody from the town crier, that's not good
It
because.
was. I believe it was from the town crier last
Yeah,
week.
and she doesn't, and there's no town crier that's distributed in the mail. It's all online.
Yep. Yeah.
So, okay, thank you. If someone can just get back to us with an email, just what's going on, I would appreciate it.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Camillo?
One of the last Anna Reynolds Building Committee meetings, Carol, I spoke and I asked Colliers and I asked Dr. Brummett, are they going to handle this? And are they going to send out something? And they both said, yes, they were going to do this. And I would have thought by now we would have seen something in the mail. So hopefully they're listening and it is in the works, because that was the plan when
Dr. Brumman, are you still with us on the call?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Do you know if you guys are working on, if the Board of Ed is working on sending out some sort of text regarding the referendum project, the Inter-Reynolds project?
Well, we are currently in the silent period, so we are not allowed to do anything other than location of the vote and like perfunctory information. There is an Anna Reynolds, the PTO created a subcommittee and they are doing signage, but that's not anything I have control over. But in terms of the information that was discussed for like absentee ballots or folks that come to the polls on November 3rd, we're not able to do that. That has to, I believe that comes from the town. We're basically just kind of letting that PTO group do what they need to do. And the only thing I'm doing is if reporters call me, I'm answering questions. That's about all I'm doing. I have to be very careful right now through the regulations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does make sense. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so it sounds like town staff will check into that and get back to us sooner than later, hopefully. Counselor Nagel and then Counselor Minor.
Thank you. Keith, just as a reminder, and so the public is aware, there are some, there is the CIP subcommittee and there's the Shared Services Committee that I would think would need to meet one or more times in some fashion or another before the budget season comes up, even though it may seem a long ways off. And I just want to keep that in your mind. And if you have any future plans regarding them, I would hate for the public to think that both those committees have gone by the wayside and it's budget time.
We're currently working on scheduling meetings for both those committees, yes.
Okay, thank you. Friendly reminder.
Counselor Minor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick clarification. I don't know if Dr. Brum is still on the line or not. Is Colliers have that, I believe, that in their phase 2 pre-referendum services contract, that was something that they were able to do? Am I correct or incorrect in that?
I don't believe the phase 2 contract has been officially inked. So they have not been doing very much lately. JCJ has done the analysis about the Renovate as New component, and they're going to write a letter saying that it is a good candidate for Renovate as New. But unfortunately, Colliers has kind of been in a holding pattern because that contract for phase 2 has not been completed yet. Has to come from the town side.
Okay. Keith, is that in due diligence or where's that at?
I do not have an answer for you. I don't know. I can find out tomorrow.
If you would, thank you.
Okay, any other council comment or question for the town manager? Okay, we'll move on to council liaison and committee reports. Counselor Nagel.
The library recently met last Monday in their regular meeting, and after that regular meeting, they had their annual meeting. Both were done virtually online, not as expansive as they've had in the past for obvious reasons. Went through at the annual meeting, went through a very detailed, well done by the head librarian report involving what they have been doing there during this pandemic season, so to speak, and what they planned from what they knew at that particular time. Also want to remind you, as was reminded at that annual meeting, that the library has a Ready, Set, Go drawing fundraiser. You can contact the library, and I'm sure through probably the town site. The drawing will be on October 5th, and the details have been explained various times in various different sources.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Badreko?
Yes, for the Inlands Conservation and Wetlands Commission, actually representative from Dakota was there to update them on the issue of sidewalks. So the Dakota project is moving forward. They told the Conservation Commission that they are working, they met with the Department of Transportation, the town planner, and TPZ. And sidewalks are going to be built between the entrance to the Dakota development all the way up to the Starbucks entrance, which is right before this entrance off of Cedar Street.
If I may interrupt, that plan has been changed. The sidewalk is not scheduled to go in there.
Well, but they met last week.
That's correct. I was part of that telephone conversation with DOT and Dakota. And that area, to put a sidewalk in, there's absolutely no protection along there.
Well, no, exactly. And that's what the concerns were from Conservation Commission. And it abutted the Uplands Review area, and there's no snow shelf there.
Right. So as the public safety director, I have made a decision that the sidewalk cannot go there. It is too dangerous. You know, the people living at the Dakota complex would at times probably want to walk to the Super Stop and Shop and maybe have little kids with them. And walking along that part of Cedar Street with such a narrow right of way with no protection would not be a safe situation. So I've requested that that sidewalk not be installed, and Planning and Zoning Chairperson agrees with that decision. We're looking at alternatives on how to get people to and from, and we're looking at the busway and the fast track system to serve the Dakota, and eventually, if the railroad station ever gets built, they run a 20-minute cycle going through the college right down the street, and we're looking for them to expand that to include that part of Cedar Street and not build a sidewalk. Just too dangerous along there.
No, excellent, because that was one of the major objections to in the first place for building the project. Another development under the Conservation Commission is they're starting to do an inventory of invasive plants, particularly around Mill Pond. And they're working cooperatively with Parks and Rec to kind of open up the pond, the vista a little bit, clean up the pond. And Kathleen Clark will be doing a comprehensive study, and this will also be able to be submitted as one of our projects, which will gain us points for the Connecticut Sustainability Program. So that's good. Also, I have something from the TPZ meeting. Just want to let people know that there is an application before the TPZ regarding properties along Willard Avenue, both sides of Willard Avenue near Newington Junction. The proposal is currently there's 9 parcels on the east side and 2 parcels on the west side. The 2 parcels on the west side are the Dunkin' Donuts and the gas station there. And then there's 9 parcels that are it's not the historical homes, but there's 9 parcels between the busway and Spring Street. And the proposal is to change the zoning. Currently, the area is zoned as a combination of business, residential, and industrial. And the applicant wants to change it to planned development. And what planned development basically will do is it will allow for easier transit-oriented development in the future, which could occur if the property owners work together, making a unified zone. The historic homes are excluded from this particular application. Now, there was a public hearing that was scheduled for tomorrow, but it has been delayed because the signage, the proper signage and notification of property owners was not done in sufficient, in the way it should be. So the public hearing has been delayed, but there will be a public hearing on this. And I urge anyone who lives in that area of Newington Junction or who has an interest in transit-oriented development to keep their eyes and ears open for the public hearing.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Badrego. Counselor Annis?
Does Chris still have his hand up? Because I didn't know if he wanted to talk, piggyback off of Gail with the Dakota.
Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add?
I mean, I will, but I'll yield the floor to.
Okay,
Councilor
I didn't want to change the subject, it's why. Last evening, the Affordable Housing Committee met. We got the draft plan, so everybody can see it. Glenn Chowler has done an awesome job. So where we're going from here is it's going to be distributed to TPZ, possibly an EDC, possibly the Chamber and the Housing Authority to review and to have comments come back to us, and then we're going to be reviewing it with the council. So we're moving right along, and hopefully within the next couple of months, the council will be able to see a draft of our housing plan.
Wonderful, good. Thank you. Counselor Donahue?
Yeah, it's not really a committee report, and I had the piece of paper in front of me, but there was something, Keith, that involved, they did some presentation for an hour on Wednesday. Kind of like they did for the senior center. They served lunch and sorry, I can't find my piece of paper now.
Similar to the Volunteer of the Year one that they did?
Oh, the safety?
Yes, the public safety one.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Counselor Minor? Chris, are you there?
Yeah,
there.
sorry, couldn't unmute. Just to circle back real quick to what Keith had talked about in terms of sidewalks over there. I just hope that there's some alternative resolution to come up with in terms of either, sidewalk accessibility or cycling accessibility, because again, that was one of the founding arguments on the development to begin with, was the basically setting them out on an oasis with no way to get out, sort of being in a vehicle. So I would just really encourage trying to find an alternative solution with DOT to how to handle it. I know there were considerations built when they widened the two bridges that they now have walkways on the bridges, but there's no interconnectivity between the rest of it. And they do currently take care of snow removal on those two platforms. And it would be a shame to not have anything and just leave it the way it is with no connectivity at all. Thank you.
Keith, did you want to respond?
Yeah, I would just say that what I learned at the teleconference last week was a couple things that I was not aware of. One is that the sidewalks would be installed by Dakota, but they would be maintained by the town. And that creates a big issue right there. We don't have that type of ability when we'll say during a snowstorm or after a snowstorm to have state road sidewalks taken care of by the town. We're going to be tied up with our own work. The sidewalks, when they need to be replaced, would be a cost to the town in the future. To me, it's just it's an ill-conceived plan to have people walking along that portion of Cedar Street. There is no green belt. The sidewalk would be 4 feet wide. And again, just picture yourself walking that area 2,200 feet, and it actually goes nowhere. It doesn't go to connect to other sidewalks. It ends at the west end of the National Welding site. And, walking that sidewalk with little children during an ice storm or after a snowstorm or during a rainstorm, with the type of traffic going by there, you can actually be sucked out into that road. I don't think anybody should be walking that area. And I think the answer is that the DOT and the developer have to come up with a bus program that will bus these people to and from, at least down to the bus station and the related retail area. I walked that the other day, and you put your life in your hands, and I just can't see having children walking along there. And some probably at 10 or 11 will not even be with their parents, and it's just an accident waiting to happen. So we need to find an alternative, and it makes so much sense. The busway was built and ridership was critical. Well, you have some market right there for ridership. So it just makes so much sense to use the busway since it's right down the street. And again, that sidewalk doesn't go anywhere. It ends at a driveway that is private property. And where are the people supposed to go after they get to that driveway? If that driveway does not continue to exist, they end up going nowhere. So it's not a good situation. So I'm shooting to get the buses to serve that area.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Donahue?
Yeah, I have to agree with Keith. I mean, I have to cut that little piece of lawn that's in between my property line and Cedar Street. And you can actually feel the truck mirrors come by you. And if I lose control of my lawnmower, it's out in the street. It's not a safe area. I mean, we had this discussion years ago when they wanted to put sidewalks on the south side of the street. It's just, I'm waiting for the colorful weeds to take over the property so I don't have to cut it anymore.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? We'll move on now to public participation. I say this a lot, but I'll say it again. If you're a member of the public and would like to be recognized, please raise your hand in the participants window. If you're in the Zoom app, there's a raise hand function in the participants window. If you are calling into the Zoom meeting, you can raise your hand by using the *9 function. We have, let's see, Mr. de Blasio. Go right ahead. Name and address for the record, please. Bill, you're muted. Let me. Mr. de Blasio, there you are. Are you there? Nope. Mr. de Blasio, I see your hand up, but your mic is muted. James, I'm trying to do the ask to unmute function. It's not working. Do you have any suggestions?
I'm having the same thing. He can try *6. That may release him if he's on his phone. I don't see a video camera, so that's a possibility.
Is it *6 or *9?
*6 to unmute, *9 to raise your hand.
Gotcha.
Zoom's been acting kind of peculiar all night.
Mr. de Blasio, are you there now?
Should be.
Bill?
Hey, Beth, this is Jenwin Johnson here. Could he forward a meeting invite to me? Because could it possibly be me?
It is you. Yep, it's coming up on the screen as de Blasio.
That's so weird. I finally connected when you kept calling me. I'm like, I'm the only one that raised my hand, I think.
Yeah, go ahead. State your name and
Okay.
address for the record, Jen. Welcome.
Thanks. It's Jennifer Wynne Johnson, 23 Wells Drive North, Newington, Connecticut. I am asking the town council to support the Mill Pond Pool project, as this is a project that will benefit the entire community, as both the Mill Pond Pool and the Churchill Pool are aging out or have aged out. And I feel like it contributes to the public safety as it teaches people how to swim, as most folks don't have access to a pool, and encourages fitness and provides opportunity for the community to bond. So I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. All right, I don't see anyone else's hands raised, so we will go ahead with remarks by counselors. No takers? All right, we will move on to adjournment. Who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Moved by Counselor Mankey, I believe, seconded by
I'll second it.
Counselor Nagel. Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes and we stand adjourned at 9:04. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Night.
Good night.
Stay well.
Night. Adios.